Hello, everyone. My name is Kurashima, and I'm going to be sharing my proposal for my senior capstone, and it's around my topic around art portfolio making. So a little bit about me. My name, Kurashima. I'm a four-year student at UH West. I graduated at Copley High School around 2019, I believe. My program of study in this university is creative media with a focus around general. So a brief summary of what I'm going to be talking about in this presentation is going to be my thesis statement from my research paper. What I was gonna sorry. My how the reason why I decided to undergo this research for my paper, then my plans for my proposal for my project, senior capstone project, and then how does that connect with my research. So my thesis statement is my research question is basically around how to make a strong art portfolio or how to make one. And so then this thesis statement, based on my research, I've found out that there are kind of like these three aspects, a way of showing great strength of or that's able to display like the artist's core strengths, which is like their originality, their versatility, and also kind of like displaying some way to show their artistic growth or improvement over time. So the reason why I decided to do this research was because art portfolios is like a fundamental thing in the industry, and especially also it's there to represent yourself and what you do in the medium. So with that in mind, I wanted to go more into about how how what's like the best way of showing that to outside viewers, and also looking into like what those characteristics, like as mentioned the thesis statement, represent. How can we show that in like another medium like art or fine arts or music? How are we able to communicate that aspect into your collection and share that with others? And also wanted to kind of define those aspects more in my research, because especially with like originality, and also versatility, it's very broad and it could go to many ways, and it's very difficult to kind of find like a concrete evidence like, oh, this is originality or this is purely that. So I wanted to look at existing portfolios and what they've done and see how they were trying to display those aspects from my thesis statement. And also I wanted to over time throughout my research, I also noticed that kind of like this relation between displaying the work for outside viewers, the clients, and also for the artists themselves. So for my senior capstone, my plans for it's going to be a project based, and it's going to be creating a website that kind of share tips around portfolio making and how students can like use how tips around like the three characteristics, and also going into the reflection process of the art portfolio, because in what I looked into, I noticed that there's a lot of advice and tips on more focus on the client's perspective, like what you should do for this person, or what should we do for if you're entering this like industry, what should you do for going to this thing? And it kind of leads towards like, I guess, away from the individual of themselves, or like how they can on their decision making and creative decision making of their career. So the reason why I chose the project over the practicum was because I feel like the portfolio making is more focused on the individual, and it's or not focused it's focused on having a it's focused on like or portfolio, and its definition is focused on like displaying kind of the works to other, or kind of focus around that, on displaying work. So with that in mind, I think that like a practicum wouldn't really fit well with my project. So yeah, that's why I decided to take this direction. So for my significance, the reason why the capstone, my passive project, is kind of related to research because as I mentioned in the previous some of the previous slides, the current advice available in like online mediums is more oriented towards, jobs and school program. They're more focused on what can you do to make it compelling for the employers and for the clients, rather than kind of how you could use that portfolio, make portfolio strategies on yourself and use those, analyze your collection and see what direction can you take in the future. And with that, it also relates to the second snippet. It's kind of like keeping track of your creative journey and reflecting on your direction. Because throughout the research, I kind of know with this sort of like of what's represented now, it's like kind of this lean towards it's for focus on the client side. I wanted to make this project based around the reflection sort of process, kind of have a way to have artists like look at it and say, what are they going to do now with what they have, analyze their work, and try to decide what's next in their pathway. Because I feel like, especially with me, I'm not very goal oriented in a certain way, and hoping that having a portfolio and using it that way would help me have a sense of direction in the future. So, data related to my capstone, the reason why I was decided to use a website is because it's based around like credibility and online credibility. And this is a table. One is based on a survey. It was an online survey, and it was um the right side is basically the demographics of what the surveyors are, and more I was more focused on the bottom part and seeing like which do they think is like more likely to have like fake news or like lack of credibility. And kind of notice that here in the bottom left is like kind of more focused like mainstream media like Facebook and Instagram are kind of have that bias of not being very credible. So with that in mind, I was thinking of I would believe that having a website would help like improve the credibility of the and the tips and also the what I have to offer to my target audience, which is I believe my target audience is mostly focused around UH West Oahu students because it because or UH West Oahu students within the creative media program, because they are the ones who kind of entering the field, or maybe they already have and are trying to go more into it. And having website resource for tips, tricks around art portfolio, I feel like would be best aligned with their career pathway. So, so it is similar to what my proposed solution is similar to what I mentioned in the previous slide. Kind of having a resource available for students to kind of remind them that although you also want to like include or have the ask to keep in mind of like the client or what direction you're going with your goals of the industry, like what the industry expects from your portfolio. Also wanted to kind of remind them of like reflecting on what do you think your what what should you take yourself in improving yourself, improving your collection and stuff like that in the future. So for my capstone project, this will be my plans making making this website design. So before I start anything, I will have to kind of translate what I learned from my research paper and make it like a tips and tricks or like an easy way to kind of tell students what they really need to know. Also, I need to draft like ideas on what kind of website should I use, or I mean, website design that's effective into like kind of displaying credibility and also appeal to that my target audience. And then there's also the website formatting, which personally I don't have a lot of experience in. So I need to look more into how I'm able to make the website and also convert it into something into like a website format for it to be usable. And then projecting will be kind of the focus around just making the website itself. designing using the three Adobe softwares: InDesign, Illustrator, and Photoshop. This one I'll be more focused on, well, based on the pre of the research and stuff like that. I'll be focused on like making my fonts, or using what sort of fonts that I should use and color, and also reference logos that I might use as examples that if I'm going into my three characteristics from my thesis statement. And yes, and then in the post production, it'll be kind of finishing all that up and finding a way to submit it that's accessible, or submitting it into an actual website that can be used for students, or yes, particularly for UH students. So I don't deliverable is sort of like my what I'm planning on doing. Since websites kind of focus emphasis on credibility and stuff like that, I was think of kind of following that brand design that UH has. Although I'm not sure if I'm able to do that. If not, I think some aspects that I want to keep is maybe how UH designed their stuff website to make it feel credible, and also the embedded links. So I'm planning on using the embedded links to kind of display what each of the characteristics, like section for originality, a section for versatility, and etc. To wonder how that portion is that I'm not really know how to do that in the how to code that in. So I think that's one aspect that do want to keep for my capstone project. Thank you so much for listening.